Let me give you more reasons to follow the homie Sil for the latest news, scoops and moves he's about to reveal. From coffee talks to special brews, I'm out of burgers for meals. A cup of bourbon with that tea that's about to get spilled. Like, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go, take out your pen and paper, sit down and take notes. Sil is the realest among imposters, scavenging cutthroats. So, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. Between DC and Marvel, they both have a startle. Disney's moving finicky, let's not mention Star Wars. All these movie execs be drunk off their power, disconnected from the fans in the ivory towers. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. When they keep making the same mistake, that's what you call insanity. They can't even acknowledge the self-inflicted calamity. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. Scoop Senator, coffee talks, also covering analytics, making his own reviews, cause it's always been the critics. They clout chasers, money driven, repeating the latest gimmick. Come over to Sil Nation where true vision is given. Listen, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. Let's not forget Mikey's son, always special to the crew. From day one when him and Sil got together for special brew. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. I guess I'll finish on this note. When the niggas go flip mode, they turn gremlins, I'm Gizmo. Come from my people, my kinfolk. For them I ride for and kill for. With this pistol I'm skillful. She can really escalate till it all goes abysmal. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. I'm a watchman, forever vigilant, steady watching and listening, disciplined, militant, killing these dudes that started visiting. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go.
So we can get a little love to Sil Nation.
Hey guys,
Zach says shout out
love this channel.
to Sil Nation.
Stay tuned.
It's Coffee Talk with Sylabdul. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe now.
Wake up in the morning, eyes crusty, heavy yawning. My phone keep going off, so I shut off the alarm and then head into the kitchen to get the coffee brewing. French roast with French vanilla, my own French revolution. Next movement is to tune into Coffee Talk with Sil. My girl starts to yap if I tell her she need to chill. I hear enough of the yapping from all of these goofy shills. Plus I'm trying to be informed of whatever's the latest deal, for real. I am a FIFA caffeine, coffee gotta have some cream. Fetch a hazel be for me, while I listen to these kings. Silla might be the team, subscribe to Sylabdul Inc. Wiki CD magazine. Tell me what's behind the scenes, the other side of the ravine. Is it obscene or is it obscure? I am not sure. The rich is the rich off the poor, that ain't no doubt to my core. We just keep asking for more, they keep supplying the man in the store. As long as it makes it to shore, I know for sure, they'll just keep on making more. Well, almost treasure that piece now have been transformed into corporate Hollywood's whore.
What's up? What's up? This is Sylabdul here for Coffee Talk, and it's just about one topic today. This big article dropped this morning, so I figured before I get started on my work day, we'll jump in here with the early crew. Shout out to the ones I've been seeing that's been up early: Jovic, Adrian, I see Man of Time in the chat as well too. Shout out to the early crew. Now, if we've been having new people find the channel recently as well. Obviously, I'm here to give informative, objective, and dynamic analysis of CBM and geek news. But the core of it is, DC, and a big topic right now is the Superman. So there's a lot of different opinions out there, and all opinions are welcome. Like shout out to Jovic. He's not a fan of this new Superman. Some are giving it a chance. So it's a nice little melting pot on this channel as far as what's going on with DC. Now, yesterday, we covered the James Gunn at CCXP Mexico. I swear, we really got not too much from that. But if you're fans of Peacemaker, you found out the Justice Gang will be in episode 1. Michael, what's good in the chat? It's 1612 for you. All right, so it's perfect for you, these early streams. It'll be some pop-up early streams during the week when it's like some DC type news. You can find this on the podcast channel. And then regular updates you'll find on my Patreon. Patreon links in the description. We had new patrons that's joined where we have different coffee talk topics, Marvel, some DC as well. But the big stuff, we try to come to the main channel. So y'all in the right place. And every time Warner Brothers messes up, of course, and we about to find out if they mess it up. Y'all see on the screen, it's about Superman. UK is 3:00. Perfect. So yeah, we're gonna do some of these early streams when it's pertinent. This article dropped this morning talking of revealing James Gunn's Superman budget. Now, first thing we'll notice, because I'm not new to this. People don't have to explain much to me in this space. It just people feel like they need to, but I've been doing this for a while as far as box office news and sources and different outlets. So I see it's Humberto Gonzalez writing this article, right? So obviously we in a grain of salt territory. I don't need to be reminded of that. That's just a prerequisite that I want to get out there, because you're gonna have one person thinking, "Oh, let me help out Sylabdul and explain to him the history of Warner Brothers." No, bruh, I've been doing this, okay? But I will say, I've been talking about the budget and the perceived budget people had for Superman and stuff for over a year now. So his source in this is not too far off. So we're going to talk about it. We got South Africa in the chat. Serbia, that's what's up. Yeah, we're going to do some more morning streams. Like, isn't Humberto Gonzalez somewhat reliable like Daniel RBK? So this is what I would say. Humberto Gonzalez, he has a bad reputation with the Snyder fandom specifically. He's blocked a lot of us online, and even though the Snyder fandom is fractured in itself, that's still like a common thing that Humberto Gonzalez try to throw some heat at all of Snyder fans. So that's one thing. Is he just always, pulling stuff out of his behind? No, actually not. He does have some sourcing, but then at times he does do a lot of conjecture. Daniel RPK, again, no one's 100%. Daniel RPK, he threw out some, he denied my Batfleck scoop in Aquaman, just because he just didn't have the sourcing on it. That's a scoop that broke the internet, when I put that out, and he didn't have the information, and, so he tried to deny it. So he's not 100%, but they all have sourcing. So let's make that very clear. So, but let's see what he has to say in this one, right? He says, can Warner's DC Studios rise from the ashes with Superman analysis? James Gunn reboot not only aims to restart the entire DC universe, but is one of Warner Brothers' most crucial releases of the year. And this is true. This is stuff that we've been covering for a while. Dumberto is one of those I love. Snyder. Yeah. I love Snyder, but I hate his fans. You know, that he's that type of dude. That's a great way to sum it up. Yobi. This is what we're dealing with, right? Now Tatiana Siegel is different. She hates Zach's movies, hates his fans, she tries to antagonize the fans on purpose. And some of y'all keep sharing her articles for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, let's get into it. It says, when Superman hits theaters on July 11th, more than just the future of DC superhero wing hangs in the balance. The opening salvo in a rebooted approach to an interconnected DC universe, Superman represents a make or break moment for Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaz's strategy to leverage DC's intellectual property after previous Warner regimes struggled for years to build a cohesive cinematic universe that connected with audiences. This Superman is more on, obviously, Gunn and Safran, and ultimately on Zaslav as well, because Zaslav and his team of consultants have been hovering over Gunn this entire production, right? I mean, he gives them some leeway, but then in post, they're like, let's tighten up some of these jokes. Let's cut that out a little bit. They tweaked crypto. You're still going to get all the crypto scenes. You saw all his scenes, but they may have tweaked it where he's not as rambunctious the entire film because maybe they didn't play well on some of the test screens, right? But that's what we're dealing with. This has been a heavily scrutinized film, not just outside of Warner Bros. Discovery, but inside as well. Let's continue. The litmus test will be whether director and DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn's film will generate enough box office to keep his and co-CEO Peter Safran's ambitious 10-year plan for DC Studios on track. And really right now it's a 6-year plan. And I try to bring this up anytime they try to put a number on this. First off, Gunn has to, do respectfully with Superman. We're going to talk about some numbers, and my number has kind of been right the entire time, but we'll talk about that. If he does respectful with Superman, now I do believe Supergirl will do great. Then that will determine if Gunn gets his extension. If Gunn gets his extension, then he will get that first 6-year plan. That's up to 2031, where they want to do the JL New Frontier crossover type film. And then that's like the first chapter. So it's 6 to 8 year plan, and they hope to get to 10. And then Gunn may hang it up after that. Like all y'all that don't like Gunn, he may only do this for about 8 years. Then they'll pass the reins, and if they got all the TV shows and stuff that they want, someone will come in and just maintain them. If everything's doing terrible, then it's another reboot 8 years from now. All right, so let's continue here. Shout out to Toby in the chat. If Superman does average business like Superman Returns, what will happen? Also, Peacemaker presentation was really cringe. Yeah, I covered that Peacemaker presentation live last night, and I regret it. So my thoughts are in that video. It was cringe. And that's always the $1 million question, millions of dollars of questions is, what if Superman doesn't do well? Well, we got to define what is not well. And I think in this article, we're finally going to kind of narrow this down. But as I've always said, if it does less than Black Adam, then yeah, Gunn's in trouble. All right. But if it does respectfully, we're going to find out what respectfully is. So let's continue here. It says we're at the top here. With a $225 million budget, Superman needs to cross 700 million threshold at the global box office to be considered a success, according to a top talent agent who spoke to the Wrap but wished to remain anonymous. Now, again, this is according to my sources. If the budget really is 225 million, technically about 600 really gives you a profit. So this threshold number is some conjecture. But if he's saying the budget is 225 million, I've been told it was going to be around the budget of Guardians 3. Yeah, this thing with this Ohio tax document, this is a good time to bring this up. I'm glad you brought this up, Ultimate Age. Because last year when this kind of caught on, and just coincidentally, it was mostly the Snyder fandom pushing this tax document. Let's just kind of be real today, right? One of the main persons pushing this on Twitter, it's actually a mutual of mine, and I don't mind people with different opinions, but when people want to spam that, oh, this is the budget because this tax document says it and I say so, you can't get much of a conversation, out of people with that. I did an entire video talking about this tax document last year, and then I revisited it at the beginning of this year, and my thought stands the same that I said last year, that's not how you determine a budget for a film. That's just a short answer. And if you are relying on tax documents, Disney has a tax, I forget it, in California, they have a tax document for Mandalorian and Grogu. And on that document, it says they only spend $100 million. We know Lucasfilm is not spending just $100 million on Mando and Grogu. So that's just a small example of the documents. That's not how you determine the budget. And quite honestly, I don't care what any other outlets has to say about that. Okay. I know that's not how you determine the budget now. And we'll just leave it at that. Now, again, it was a fun story. People called, try to say the budget of Superman is $360 kabillion. First off, James Gunn does not have a blank check. All right, let's just speak in reality. All right, let's just speak in reality right now. James Gunn does not have a blank check, and he does have to answer to Zaslav, and Zaslav answers to the board. The board would not have allowed a Superman reboot film to be in excess of $300 million budget. Just the board wouldn't have allowed that. The only film that should even be spent, have a lot of money spent on it, is probably Matt Reeves' Batman. And he's not getting $363 million to make his Batman sequel. And he's profitable. But they're going to give it to, I'm saying, just if you say it out loud, doesn't make sense. They're going to give James Gunn rebooting of Superman a brand that, hasn't really consistently proven success outside of Henry Cavill's Superman and the Donner films. And that's the one you're going to give the $363 million to? Come on now, right? It was a fun story, right? It was a spark when it started. Now that story is just garbage, okay? Let's be real. Let's be real about this, man. I've been saying the entire time the budget will be around Guardians 3, which is 250 million. Okay. Let's when we come over here, let's come to reality. Spam what you want on Twitter, but not in here. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. All right. So again, I don't believe that $700 million number though. I think it can make actually less than that, and they can show us a success. But we'll go further. It says while the release dates are important, and I think this is his source talking here. He says, I don't think the challenge is Jurassic World, Rebirth, or any other film. It's a little small cap right there. The agent said of the competition, the challenge is almost entirely a question of if Superman resonates with today's audience, which is true. That is true. That is a true statement. Did they successfully update an Eisenhower era character so the 2025 Gen Z audience can identify with them? See, again, conjecture. Superman was already updated in Man of Steel just, 12 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about updating, everything with that. It's about, yes, can this film strike an audience like Minecraft? Because you can't really compare Disney live remakes like Lilo and Stitch and things like that. That's not fair. That's a cheat code. Minecraft focused in on the audience it wanted, and then it got great cinema score, word of mouth, became a phenomenon. Minecraft. That's what they want Superman to do. What are we saying in the chat here? I don't know. What's this woke talk? What's this? That's what I'm saying. Film talk has to evolve because I feel like a de-evolution. What's woke? Because it has Lois Lane. Like what's woke? How is woke even in this conversation? I know there's popular channels, that's what they lean on, but this is getting ridiculous. Does it need to be an all white male cast? Then you'll feel comfortable. Like, what are we talking about here? If it's woke. My goodness. Let's see. Let's catch up here. 750 to 850. I don't think it'll make that much. We'll get to some guesses here in a moment. This is we're at the point now where it's like, am I going to take certain comments seriously? Like real talk. Like it's going to be bro, Smurfs, bro. Smurfs. The highest opening for a Smurfs, I think, ever was 35 million. Superman's going to beat that in his second week. Smurfs, bro? Come on now. Come on. Don't do this to me. Captain Graves, we just talked about that tax document like 5 minutes ago. Go ahead and rewind. Let's continue because, yeah, I'm glad we kind of addressed that stuff up front because, like, my goodness. What's up, the sickness? Still Nation West. I know maybe other channels like to get into that ignorant stuff. We don't do that here. Is it smart to say that if Superman is a good movie, the fact that there's a whole week between Fantastic Four and Superman's a good thing? Well, it's 2 weeks, and it's going to have 2 weeks to make its money. All right, so we addressed the tax sheet. So if anyone missed that, go back to like the 15-minute mark and catch up. I'm not going to keep talking about this tax sheet that I'm not going to keep talking about that. This source is saying $225 million is the budget. Let's go further. The stakes couldn't be higher. The company's still carrying $37 billion in debt from the merger, making Superman's performance critical to Zaz's use of franchise IP to drive both theatrical and streaming revenue. It's one of the many IP pillars he reignited after the merger, along with the Harry Potter, Lords of the Rings. In short, Superman is a major test, not just for superhero genre, but for Zaz's vision for Warner Bros. As a whole. And again, that's why I keep saying this Superman film, and Zaza has put himself in front of the money people. Again, I've been covering this. People that's been keeping up with my content kind of know how I've been talking about this for the past year. Some of you newer ones, y'all just come in with points that y'all hear from random internet stuff. It doesn't hold, right? But this film is definitely as much on Gunn and Safran as it is on Zaza as well, because Zaza has been vocally vouching for this film. That's for Toby. Toby, you capping with that Smurfs thing, bro. Oh my goodness. I can't take this. I can't take none of your comments seriously now going forward. And Way in the chat, I can't take anything you say seriously. If you think Smurfs is gonna be Superman, I can't even bring your comments up no more. That's how crazy that sounds. But yeah, Zaza, he was talking with the investors and the money people, and he's putting his face behind Superman IP. Way in the chat, Black Adam only opened up to 60 million. That's not good. For you want a tent pole, Superman needs $100 million opening, at least, in my opinion. Yeah, if it opens up just like 60, something like that, then that's just like the Flash. You know, like we said, Black Adam, then it's gonna fall on his face. But the things the Flash and Black Adam had was that they did not have a good cinema score. So it is on the audience. It is on that opening number. It needs to be front loaded. This Smurfs, bro. This Smurf stuff is wild. I can't, bro. I can't, Toby. I can't talk to you no more, man. I can't. All of a sudden, all these Smurfs fans. Oh my goodness. That $700 million threshold. Now, this is the question. This is going to be the question. We're a month away from this film opening, right? I'm hopefully I'll get a screener that the week of its release, but they're keeping things pretty tight to the release date. But how much money does this film need to make? Now, they throw out their $700 million. I don't believe that that's the number. And reading through this, I wonder if this agent has been watching my channel, because they use the exact same language I use. It's kind of funny. It says the studio itself seems confident, according to the insider, if Superman grosses anything north of 500 million worldwide. That's what I've been saying for a year, because I knew the budget that they were actually had. But since they got that new marketing team, they have been spending a little bit more money on marketing than they probably would have. So you definitely got to make more than $500 million. So let's kind of start there. That means you're making more than Black Adam, more than the Flash. But I think with this new marketing team, specifically for Superman, they're spending more money. They're spending more money now. So my number is still at 600. I think that's what they need to make, 600. They're saying 700 for them to feel comfortable. But as I've been saying for a while, anything over 500 million, they will breathe a sigh of relief and say, hey, it was a reboot. Not everybody likes Superman, and we made a little profit. So that's right there. This is going to be the narrative. And again, I've been saying this since last year. Let's see. No more Smurf talk, man. Superman's opening won't be as big as Black Adam. Then it'll be a flop. Then in that reality, no, it'll be a flop. If it opens up less than $60 million, the legs will be cut off by a Fantastic Four. So no, that's just not a. You're kind of just saying different things now in the chat. I don't even know. So like I said, we're starting to get more numbers here, more factors. So anything north of 500 million, again, this is what I heard last year. This insider is saying the same thing. In the court of public opinion, however, it will need to gross closer to 700 million to be considered a hit. That's that Man of Steel number. So it's two different things going on here. And this is classic social media as well, too. But in-house, anything over 500 million, they'll throw a mini parade. But if it makes as much as Man of Steel or just closer to 700 million, then the public opinion will say, oh, this is a hit. This is actually a hit. Zaza wants that headline. Zaza wants that 700 million. But he will understand and he will explain to the money people, yeah, over 500 million, we're good. You know, we're in the profit. What do they call it? In the black? Is that what they call it? So we're starting to get some numbers here. Toby said in the chat, is the recent teasers and stuff helping? Yeah, no, this new marketing team has turned the course of the marketing for Superman. It was going bad. This past December, that first teaser trailer was great. That first week was great. Then the marketing got wonky. People got fired behind the scenes, and then they got a new consultant team. And that's when they released that little behind the scenes thing where it had the epic music and they got better teasers. Now this first trailer that just came out, it's a win. It's a win for marketing. No more Smurfs talk in the chat, man. No more. Oh man. No more Smurfs in the chat, man. What do you think about viewer Anon's thoughts on the movie? He said people that like Superman really like or love it, but still mix, whereas Fantastic Four is often labeled as okay. So the screenings, I kind of talked recently about both screenings. And I don't put too much weight in screenings. That's why that's the first thing I want to preface this with. You can't, screenings do not determine anything, to be quite honest. It's just that, do we have a complete vision? The questions they ask them is because they're trying to say, did we get this vision across to you? Not if it's good, really. You know what I'm saying? So, but from what I've heard, Superman is one of the most tested, screen tested films. It's on the high end as far as the amount of times it's been test screened. Superman. You know, whether that's good or bad, I don't know. We'll see. But they feel that they tweaked something. They feel they have some good moments with Superman, right? So that's what I heard with that. As far as, and they feel they tweaked the tone a little bit. The structure of the film sort of changed too. It was going to be kind of episodic, like the Superman for All Seasons comic. They've kind of stripped it and made it more of a linear experience. So that is what it is. So I think Superman is actually going to turn out fine. So that's my thoughts on Superman. As far as Fantastic Four, I heard that they feel that they got a true 4-quadrant film with Fantastic Four, whereas males, females, older, young, all will gravitate to Fantastic Four. They feel whatever Superman does good, Fantastic Four, Disney, Feige thinks they're doing it better. So I think both films will be successful. Is my short answer, I guess. No one's worried about Pedro Pascal except people online. Like that's what I'm talking about, man. Because you don't like Pedro Pascal's political views, the movie's gonna do bad. That's actually not how it works. That's actually not how it works, man. Those that seen Fantastic Four, not one of them was worried that Pedro Pascal wears pink or whatever. Like, not one of them was worried about that. And Galactus slays is what Galactus is going to be amazing. The kids are going to like seeing Johnny Storm and the Thing. Fantastic Four is, I think, the biggest film this summer. That's just what I think. Jurassic World doesn't have any IMAX screenings. Yeah. They'll make do. I still think Jurassic World, I think it'll make 800 to 900. I think Fantastic Four will be the one that if any of these films make $1 billion, I think it'll be Fantastic Four. But as we've seen with Minecraft, you could have an amazing opening, legs and everything, but it doesn't guarantee you $1 billion. I mean, when you make 800 million, you're making a profit, okay? 400 domestically, 400 internationally, you're making a profit. $1 billion is such an arbitrary number, right? But just if any of these films are going to make $1 billion, I say Fantastic Four. I don't think Jurassic World will get to $1 billion. And as I said, I've really settled in on this, that Jurassic World will have a great opening. It will have its 50% drop, and then Superman will defeat it its second week. I think Superman will jump out, front load it, and take out the mutant dinosaur. Those headlines, that's going to make some people's eyes bleed. If Superman beats Jurassic World, oh my goodness. Should we trust early box office tracking numbers? No, pre-sales is rumored to open June 12th. So give that a week or a few days after pre-sales come up, then we can start kind of determine, hey, this could be like a 90 million, 100 million opening. So no, I just did a video about that the early tracking yesterday, and they had nothing. That was a fluff article. So I wouldn't trust that until we get some numbers. Yeah, Galactus is going to be great. Galactus is going to slay, is what I heard. And I don't use the word slay, but that's what I was told. So, yeah. Did you hear anything about what people think about the visuals of Superman? That's one of the major complaints this movie has. I don't think it looks CW, but it has this blue filter in some scenes. No, James Gunn purposely is making this film where it's kind of like the color kind of pops more. Fantastic Four is using the more saturated look that we're used to for the past, couple decades of film. So Superman is always going to look kind of out of place next to other, if you're watching TV and it cuts to a commercial, then you're like, man, Superman looks kind of different because it's intended to look different. I think within context, anyone I talked to that saw any of the screenings, they didn't have a problem with the whole color filter because, you just focus on that film. The cinematography is just like The Flash. Zaslav thinks they had a good look actually in The Flash. People confuse cinematography with unfinished CGI. I'm doing a video on my Superman channel. Links in the description. Sylabdul Geek Network. We have a specialized Superman channel, DC channel, Batman, etc. On the Superman channel, I'm going to talk more about the Flash comparison to Superman. And when people say, "Oh, the Flash looked terrible," they're talking about the bad CGI. That's not cinematography. Again, Zaza thinks they had a good look actually in the Flash. They just decided not to spend any more money on it. That's why they didn't finish the CGI. I don't know why. I don't know why they did that. Well, they knew that that world was over, so they didn't want to finish the CGI. But no, anyone that I talked to that saw a screening, they had no problem with how the film looked. The third act needed some touch up, but yeah. Let's see. All right. Let's continue. So again, my number is still at 600. But as I've been saying, like I said, I've been saying this for over a year. All they had to do was get over 500 million and they would throw a mini parade. This source is saying the same thing, exact same thing I said. But they're saying 700 is a threshold. I still hold on to 600. All right. It says here, Henry Cavill's previous outings as Superman, the Zack Snyder directed Man of Steel, which made 670 million worldwide, the best performance for Superman ever. All right. They cut the marketing. Probably 3/4 of the marketing was cut because of a product placement. So they made crazy profit from Man of Steel. Anyway, and the team up movie that followed Batman vs Superman, which cracked 874 million, provide the baseline, but neither film managed to spark universe building success. Well, we're not going to get into that conversation, right? The critics, was glazing Marvel so much they couldn't stand seeing something different from Marvel, and the DC fandom was split on Zack Snyder's run, right? I think we all can agree on that, right? And we'll just move forward now, okay? Because I don't need anyone recapping Warner Brothers history right now. We all get it, okay? We all are on certain sides of this. It says here, the simple brand recognition of Superman will probably take them to or close to 500 million worldwide. But anything above that will be because the audience identifies with the title character. The talent agent says, this talent agent watches my channel, obviously. I don't know who this is. I've been talking about brand recognition nearly every video. That the combination of Superman brand recognition and James Gunn name recognition will get this film at least $500 million. So I'm saying I'm penciling in it's going to make at least 500 million, but I'm saying there's a chance to hit 600, and they will be really comfortable with that. They're saying here the court of public opinion is going to call for this to make 700 million. So we'll just see how this all lands with the audience. But I'll just say it right now, pencil in 500 million. I think that's the starting point. Then we'll go from there. People boycotting because of James Gunn's name, probably just anyone in your circle. Like the whole world is not thinking like that. Like that's what people gotta understand. We get so caught in our circle way of thinking. There's a whole world out there that's not thinking like you. And they know James Gunn is, hey, that's that guy that made Guardians of the Galaxy. Name recognition. Superman, brand recognition. I'm penciling in 500 million right now because this is lining up with everything I've been saying for a year. And now you're going to have more people coming out with their reports. So this is the floor, in my opinion, 500 million. All right, let's see. So the logo that was chosen is bad brand recognition. The Kingdom Come. So it's a bad shield. It's like, no, I'm not going backwards. I'm not going backwards. No. I'm not. I'm not having that conversation about this. The classic Kingdom Come shield is bad brand recognition now. No. Jay Turner says so. Superman needs anywhere between 500 to 700. That's like the range. Probably a little more depending on marketing costs just to break even. Yeah. So basically, yeah. Anything over 500 million, I think they're covering. I think they're covering their costs. To win the headlines and look like a hit, you need 600 to 700 million. So I guess to answer your question, 500 is the base number. Yeah, I've been settled on that, but now when you see other outlets literally saying what I've been saying, I'm like, okay, yeah, I think we were on the right track for the past year on this film. Those people probably haven't heard of James Gunn. What people? Most people don't know who directors are. Who are these people? The people who do are either pro or anti. Bro, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know James Gunn from Guardians, especially Guardians 3, which did great internationally. And side note, Guardians 3 did pretty good in China. Now you see Gunn pumping China. I think he got close to 200 million in China for Guardians 3. They have a play for the global audience with name recognition, James Gunn, brand recognition, Superman. That they just do. And I understand, and I said this when the Matt Reeves Batman was coming out. I understand people have their right to boycott. Do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's I'm here to cover the news. I watch all the DC stuff, so we're going to talk about it. But if it performs well, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And if it flops, then we're going to have a good roast session. So, I mean, that's just where I stand. That's how I've always stood with this. So, Mexico showed that the hate train is just happening. They didn't have to say anything. Just come to CCXP to Aura Farm. Yeah, that was I don't know what that CCXP was about. Like, I don't trust CCXP for like major news. Like, I just will never trust it again. San Diego Comic-Con, yeah, it's more of a structure. New York Comic-Con, which I want to make that one this year, New York Comic-Con. But it's more of a structure. You know, you can get some information. When they go to CCXP in Mexico or Brazil, it's just a bunch of cheering, and it was so meaningless. I'm never covering CCXP again. I'll just, if some news comes out from it, then we'll talk about it. Or I may just cover it just to laugh at just the non-news that comes from that. It was amazing. Let's see. Toby said, what do you think the box office of Brad Pitt and Joe Kosinski F1 movie would be? I don't know. Brad Pitt doesn't really break the box office anymore. So I really haven't been covering F1 a lot because not a lot of people are talking about it. But if it comes on and does numbers, it'll be in my box office battle. So got to make the news. Shout out to Derek, one of the newest members on the channel and new Patreon as well. Says, did we get an official runtime yet? Maybe I missed it. I know Gunn debunked a rumor about running time a couple of days ago, I think. Yeah, so this runtime thing, I've always been told the whole time this film was meant to be like 2 hours or less. Then a few months ago, someone came out and said, oh, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. Then it came out there, they cut 30 minutes from the runtime. So it's going to be around two hours. Yeah. People make a lot of nothing with that one. It says the general audience is not familiar with Kingdom Come logo. It's a Superman logo. Why are we making this more than what it is? It's a Superman logo. That's brand recognition. Y'all kill me, bro. Hey, I know certain people don't want this film to succeed, but come on now. That's not a bad logo, man. Should we be worried about Clayface rewrite? I'm worried, Peter, and I'm going to be covering that more. I just covered that article. The writer, Mike Flanagan, he wrote the script. He pitched it to Gunn. Gunn loved the script, pretty much bought the script from Flanagan. And then Flanagan's out of the project. Flanagan's not, directing it. He's going to have name credits on it. But then they're reworking the script, the Clayface script. And I am worried because Mike Flanagan wrote it in vein of Batman animated series, that two-parter Clayface story, Feet of Clay. And Mike Flanagan was like, that's what his film was, or heavily influenced. Now he's out, right? They bought his script. Flanagan's out. And he's saying, hey, they're going to do whatever they want with that script. He's like, they're reworking it. I am worried about the Clayface film. Of all these DC projects, I understand people's trepidation with Superman. Even Peacemaker, I wasn't a huge fan of season 1. We'll see with season 2. I'm almost comfortable with Lanterns. You can't tell me nothing about Supergirl. All right, I'm not worried about Supergirl. This is great. Supergirl's going to be great. But Clayface, I am worried. I am worried about this, man. And I'll have more coverage on that in the future. Man's of Time. The thing I love about Sil is how objective he is. Would he love to see Snyder's vision? Sure, but he's given a chance to James Gunn, even though he may not agree with all his decisions. Oh yeah, no, that's just me, like in real life, man. I the thing with me, I start off, I'm a DC fan first. So I've loved multiple iterations, of these characters, the Burton character, Donner's, obviously Snyder's visions, Nolan's visions. I'm warming up to Reeves' visions. So I've given these characters a chance, multiple times, in my lifetime at least. So yeah, obviously if it's DC, I'm going to give it a chance. But yeah, if I don't like it, I mean, I have no problem voicing that, right? Adrian's saying, what's the latest on Mango doing DC? Yeah, he's attached to Swamp Thing. It really just depends if Star Wars wants to Mango to do that Jedi prequel film sooner or later. So if Lucasfilm is like, okay, Mango, we need you to start on this, this year, then that will push Swamp Thing, further back. So we'll see. And Adrian, as far as talks to that Macquarie situation, I did a stream yesterday. Definitely check that one out. All right. Let's finish this up. I got about 15 more minutes here. So again, brand recognition, and as I said, Gunn, Superman brand recognition, and as I said, Gunn's name recognition. This film's going to at least make $500 million. I'll just go on record and say I agree with that statement. I think it has a chance to make $6 million overall. The film is a true reboot of the property, written and directed by Gunn. Also serves as a co-CEO of DC Studios with his longtime manager, producer, Safran. David Cornsweet, a 31-year-old actor whose biggest film role to date was last year's Twisters, where he just played like a supporting role. He actually played a jerk in that film. So that wasn't really good for his image, actually, to be. His character was terrible. Then you have Rachel Brosnahan as Lois. Nicholas Hoult, who I think is going to steal a lot of scenes as Lex Luthor. It's a young cast, and while the stars are far from unknowns, the ensemble doesn't have an A-list ringer that is sometimes used to entice audiences, such as Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando, and original Superman. True. You got this Superman in film. Let's get to the stakes as we round this out. see, we'll put this. There's no help in that. What we got in the chat? What's up to Fernando? All right, let's get to the stakes. So I got to round this out here. But keep putting your comments and questions in. I'll try to use the last 5 minutes to go through those. The stakes. Superman is the first film in a 10-year plan, which is really a 6-year plan right now, of interconnected films and TV shows. The Gunn and Safran have planned to rival Marvel's MCU, one they laid out when they first took over as co-CEOs. The rub, of course, is that Gunn is not just a co-head of this entire DC universe, but also directly responsible for the film. If Superman underperforms, the larger plans face significant challenges. Blah, blah, blah. We understand this stuff. They talk about Supergirl, which I think Supergirl is bulletproof, pun intended. That's the only other film guaranteed. Is it really guaranteed? But it's completed production. But yeah, Superman, like I said, I'm penciling in 500 million, guys. Check out this full article if you want to on the wrap. There's really not much else, blah, blah stuff. And I don't have a lot of time. This is the story, though. And actually, really, the biggest thing in this article is this 700 million threshold that they are saying. And again, any last minute comments or questions, throw it in the chat. I'll spend about 5 minutes to wrap this one up. It pretty much, like I said, confirms everything we've expected on this platform while covering this film. This has been an interesting film to cover because it was, before they shot the film, I was getting information, and when they filmed it and afterwards. So we've been pretty consistent the entire way on this. I do believe the budget is the 220 to 250 range. And I do believe 500 million is the floor. So all that is lining up. I will say, like I said, people that's finding these morning streams, if there's any pertinent DC type topics like this connected to Superman or some big Batman news or something like that, or obviously Zack Snyder news, we'll be here live on this channel for Coffee Talk. Regular updates, regular news bits, different Marvel, DC, Star Wars, whatever talk, box office talk. You'll find that on the Patreon, links in the description. There's more frequent uploads during the week over there. On this channel here, again, the big DC topics and things that concerns the core audience over here. So you already know. Let's see what we're saying in the chat as we wind this one out. All right. Do you think Gunn should stop putting himself in the front and center of every Superman promotional material? No. If I was consulting this, if I was a marketing consultant on this Superman film, I'm selling the brand of Superman and the name recognition of James Gunn. So I want Gunn in every shot as possible in marketing, because that's how people are going to recognize the film. So yeah, I'm definitely not against Gunn being a marketing. That's what you're selling. What are your thoughts on Disney Feige being divided on a direction to take the X-Men reboot movie? I really didn't look too much into that report, Fernando. So I'm not really sure what's the source of that report, right? Once I kind of see where it's coming from, I'll kind of dig into it. Obviously, if it was a DC story, I would have been on it immediately. But I did see some videos talking about this, or just the titles. So I'll look into that more, Fernando, about that X-Men. In this article, it talked about Sergeant Rock being scrapped. Some say it's on standby. I hope DC will focus on big IP characters and make Lantern's movie if the series is a success. Yeah, Sergeant Rock is, I guess, considered like on hold. Not entirely scrapped. It's just that, this first wave of DC, they want to focus on, obviously Superman, Supergirl, and they really love this Clayface because of the DC horror brand they're trying to do. I'm concerned about the script now, though. But once this first wave gets by, once Supergirl comes out, they'll have a better idea. Like, okay, what's the next big characters we should do? They're going to start getting the DCU Batman together. That's going to be part of that next wave. So, Sergeant Rock, the cast that they were talking about attached to that, I kind of wish they would have made that film. I don't know if they will have the same cast if they do it, in the future. But it's an unknown brand, so I'm not. No one's crying that Sergeant Rock was sidelined, right? So yeah, once this first wave after Supergirl, then you'll start hearing DCU, Batman, and stuff like that. Did superhero fatigue hurt Deadpool Wolverine? Because it seems like people bring up superhero fatigue like when it fits their agenda, when they don't want a certain film to succeed. Superhero fatigue, but then Deadpool Wolverine, it seemed like a lot of fatigue there, right? Yeah. Okay. No news on the Authority. No, Authority may not ever be made, to be quite honest with you. As a professional hater on this movie, you see, I like when people are honest with themselves. Just don't say this whole superhero fatigue. No, just say, yo, I hate this movie. Right? Then it's like, okay, now I know everything you're gonna say is skewed. What's up, Board? He says it does need to make $700 million. First, it needs to beat Man of Steel 675. Its budget is also higher than Man of Steel. That you do have a point right there. You do have a point. And that's what it was kind of saying in here, the court of public opinion. Again, it's going to make $500 million. It's going to make its little profit. Gunn is going to get through this first wave of DC. I'm just going to break it to people, okay? But for it to be considered a hit, it has to get close to $700 million. I do agree with you on that. As someone who identify themselves as a hater of the film, I agree with you on that. Let's see. Why is the Lanterns thing isn't in space? When there's aliens and Superman, there's space and Supergirl. I hope there's aliens at least in Lanterns. Lanterns, once you see Lanterns, it's a reason why it's a story reason why they're in that small town initially. And then you're going to see the range of Lanterns, though. You're going to see the power of the Lanterns. Okay, so don't let that throw you off. Just from what I heard, as far as just the catalyst of the story, there's definitely a reason why they kind of start terrestrial and then it'll expand out. So I'm looking forward. I hope they execute that because I like the cast. You definitely got to show us the powers. Ouroboros. You know what? I haven't finished the Authority. Like I got to get like a paperback or something, a trade back. I don't know if I finished that first volume, but I was excited to see the engineer, being included live action. That's a good character. If we'll see what Gunn does with it. Speaking of X-Men, have you heard rumors about Bryan Cranston playing Professor X, Daniel Day-Lewis playing Magneto? If you did, do you believe them? Marvel rumors, casting rumors are so weird, right? Because it's always Marvel's thinking of this and they're looking at this. I wouldn't be mad at this combination if it's Cranston and Daniel Day-Lewis playing opposite of each other there. Great, right? But nothing final yet with this X-Men reboot. They got the Thunderbolts director attached to it. I think he did great on Thunderbolts or the New Avengers. And I'm excited for this new group of X-Men. I mean, this, man, MCU X-Men, they could do so many crazy movies and spin-off shows and all kinds of stuff, man. So I hope they get it right. But nothing final with that casting. So, yeah. But my thoughts is, hey, I hope they do that. I hope that's the cast. Do you think this movie would be better than Man of Steel for you? Now that's a hard ask. I mean, Man of Steel, I always remember the opening day. I went to an afternoon screening, and that Krypton scene opens up with Russell Crowe, and it was one of the greatest things that I've just seen in theaters, ever. Just theater experience. That Krypton scene is like top 3 for me. And then just the fight in Smallville and the first flight and everything. Man of Steel has some amazing moments, Superman moments. Really got me back into Superman comics. I was more of a Batman, Green Arrow, Spider-Man, X-Men, stuff like that. But didn't really grab a lot of Superman runs after Death of Superman. So it was, a while. So, some of the New 52 was okay as far as comics. But anyway, Man of Steel got me back into Superman comics. Right? That's how big that was. Well, this new Superman film inspired me to read, more Superman. I don't know. I mean, I am looking forward to like the whole Justice Gang, seeing Mr. Terrific live action, the Engineer. That's the kind of stuff I'm kind of looking for in this film. And then you got the big goofy stuff, the kaiju. I like stuff like that. But it's going to be hard to surpass the experience of Man of Steel. That's going to be a tough one, man. That's going to be a tough one. Let's see. All right, I got to wrap this one up. Interesting stuff. Interesting article that we had today with Superman. Seems like the numbers are out there. I know people have their own ideas of what the budget is, but we do got to kind of start moving towards the reality of these numbers and what this film needs to make. Like I said, I'm gonna stand on what I've said the entire time. Floor level 500 million. I think it can make 600 million. They're saying it needs close to 700 to be considered a hit. So we got multiple things going on there. So we shall see. We shall see. I got to sign on out of here. But again, make sure you've subscribed. Make sure you smash the like. For these morning streams, make sure your notifications are on so you know that we're live with this here. For more frequent updates, become a Patreon. Links in the description. More uploads during the week. And there'll be some YouTube membership interviews and exclusive videos here on YouTube as well. And again, more separate stuff on the Patreon, separate platform, link in the description. That's where all my scoops and rumors over there on the separate platform, Patreon. Much love to Still Nation. I got to get on there. I got to go do my day job now. So we got to get on out of here. Till next time. When I find my outro. That's another L for the day. Why is my outro always? Anyway, we out of here, y'all.
Stay tuned.
Sylabdul ink to speak true as he bring the news. Coffee talk, stay brew, kick back, get real comfortable. Here to stay, no on delay, make sure I be's informed. On the road, on the go, playing ball on that pavement floor. It's the lifestyle right now, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Guaranteed all week's going to always be on time. That's my word, y'all heard from Il Divino Vega's mouth. What's the words much more than what these networks talk about?